Welcome, one and all, to the Back of the Nest preview podcast. I'm your host, Terence Ford, and we are back in action against Brentford, hot on the heels of a disappointing 1-1 draw at Norwich that Hesketh and Albert will help me cover before we get into our traditional preview, which is a trip to the struggling Bees on Saturday. It is Saturday. It better be Saturday.
It definitely is Saturday.
It is definitely a Saturday, because I say that, I just read a preview of the game. And this little bit here says Vitali Janelt and Zanka, are apparently both Brentford players, are both doubts of Brentford when they welcome Palace on Sunday. Good.
Let me just check.
I'm
pretty sure it's Saturday. It is Saturday.
Who's bought the tickets to this one? Did you buy my ticket? God knows.
Ooh.
No, you haven't got
tickets,
one.
I don't know if I bought yours. Let's hope not.
Anyway, I'm thirsty.
I'm thirsty. I want a beer. What about you? You want a beer?
I've got a Beaver Town this week. It's called Bloody Hell. It's a blood orange IPA, 5.5%. I don't think I've had this before. Albert, what are you drinking?
Good evening. I'm drinking a can of Old Faithful, aka Heineken. I've definitely had this one before.
This is bloody good. I'm a fan of this.
Bloody hell good.
Albert, what rating does your Heineken have on Untapped, please?
What's it? What's the highest you can get on Untapped, Terence?
5.
5, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think Heineken got a 6.
I'd be surprised if it's rated.
If it's on there, surprised if it's on there.
Heineken has 2.94.
It's higher than I thought it would be on there, to be fair.
Out of what? Out of 5?
Out of 5.
What's your fucking Nora, whatever it's called?
Bloody Hell by Beaver Town is a 3.72.
Ooh. What is filtered fridge water?
Let's see. Aqua.
If it's more than Heineken, I'm going to be well fucking pissed off.
This is better. This is better than Heineken, mate. I'll tell you that now. Delicious.
There's a beer called Aqua Predator, which gets a 3.85.
There you go. That counts.
It counts. I think so. Which is obviously better than Heineken.
Is that a code name for Prince Andrew?
Aqua Predator is on the move. He is visibly not sweating.
Sweaty nonce. Aqua Predator. Same thing, isn't it?
Well, talking of which, did you guys know that it's International Dick Out Thursday? as in Cressida Dick has just left the Met Police, which is obviously fantastic news. Although the bad news is, I hear she's going to become the head of Sussex Police. So
put your knuckle dusters away.
I don't know if that's true or not, to be honest.
Hasn't that got already enough dicks in the Sussex Police?
Certainly have. And I don't know if this Kurt Zuma thing might have been the tipping point. All of the stuff she's covered up, all sorts of abuse and all sorts of stuff, but kicking a cat was one step too far. The people have gone after her for not doing that. Albert, bit strange that it's all become about what's worse than kicking a cat and what's not worse than kicking a cat in all of the arguments.
Yeah. I mean, kicking a cat is obviously appalling. And other things are appalling. You know, it's...
Yeah. I mean, I just don't know where to slot it in terms of ranking of serious crimes.
I don't think he slotted it in. I think he sort of tried to volley it top corner.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's worse. I mean, the number one crime of all is bad mouthing Wilfried Zaha, of course. Like, it's the number one crime that you can possibly commit. Probably just murder just below, maybe. But yeah, just ridiculous. Hesketh, what do you think? Do you think he should be banished from football forever?
Who's Zuma?
I thought you meant Zaha. I was like, hang
Yeah,
on a minute.
so did
This
I. I was
is
like,
taking
no.
a swing.
Will should never be banished. I definitely don't think that Zuma should have played that game against Watford, to be honest. But yeah, I'm a bit like why there needs to be a discussion about what's bad, what's worse. Just don't be a cunt and don't be a racist. That's my view.
Yeah, right. I just find it coming from both sides. I mean, Chris Kirkland just needed to stop talking. Like he just got worse and worse with every word that came out of his mouth, which just kind of links into this Brighton letter that a Brighton fan wrote into the Argos. Which, in fact, let's just get into that. Did you read this, Albert?
No.
Excellent stuff. I know. I'm pretty sure Hesketh's read it, so I'll read it for you. This is a letter into the Argus from Paul Johnston of Middleton Avenue, Hove.
Oh, Christ.
Having attended the Brighton versus Crystal Palace match on Friday the 14th of January, I was able to personally witness the hostile atmosphere and the behaviour of many fans due to what is constantly referred to in the media as a fierce rivalry between the clubs. Having experienced the scenes, it was like returning to the 1970s when football violence was apparently at its most prevalent. With the intense police presence and scenes at Brighton Station, is it not time that attempts were made to calm the situation between the two clubs? Perhaps the media, together with Brighton and Hove Albion, can come together in a joint effort to discuss this intense hatred that is clear to be seen. Some input from the former player of both clubs, Glenn Murray, could be initiated and address the fans at these fixtures. This may help, and perhaps Adam Mullery, who is claimed to have started the friction between the clubs with some throwaway jibe when he was manager, could also speak up as an ambassador of Brighton and Hove Albion. Something needs to be done, as this situation surely cannot continue. Kind regards, Paul Johnson, Middleton Avenue, Hove. I think Alan Mullery's the answer. What do you reckon, Albert?
I mean, I'm a bit stunned by that.
Hesketh, you were at White Hart Lane for FA Cup in 2016 when
I was.
Tottenham thought it might be a good idea. Oh, Alan Mullery, he played for Spurs and managed Palace. He'll be a good guest to have.
And we had a continuous 15-minute long boo, just one solid boo for the entirety of half time.
That was like one of the best half times that ever existed when you haven't gone down and got a beer from out back. Just unbelievable. Get Alan Mullery in. Get Alan Mullery will fix it. Do you even think it's that bad when you go to games? Like Brighton, Palace?
No. I think
like the police hype it up a bit more than probably warrants.
Yeah,
it's not like we'll be playing Millwall when they raid the away end, or you play Charlton and it's running battles all over South Norwood. It's
yeah. I mean, what happened last time that we were at Brighton? Someone just hung out on the rafters and was just singing a song. It's good friendly fun. I
mean, it is nice that they still continue to let us walk past a poster of Lewis Dunk that we can read down every year. But there you go. Since we last recorded, obviously we'd advanced to the next round of the FA Cup, and it has been announced on the day of recording that Tuesday, the 1st of March, will be the game against Stoke. Albert, were you happy with that draw?
Yeah, I was happy with our bit of the draw, but I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there's definitely balls in the fridge element to the rest of the fixtures. None of the big teams drew each other. They all got very favourable draws. So, if we're lucky enough to get through to the next round, then we know that we're probably in for a pretty brutal fixture. I can't
remember who the tweet was from, but it said just before the draw, the big talking point of this draw is, will Man City get Peterborough at home or away? And they obviously drew them away.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. We've got really... obviously not this round. Next round now is you've got to hope for a Man City Liverpool draw or a Chelsea Spurs or something like that. Let them start getting rid of each other.
There might be some upsets in the next round. Peterborough might do City over. Boreham Wood might do Everton over. Stoke might do us over. That's the great thing about the cup. You look at it on paper and you think, oh shit, but there's hopefully at least one or two surprises in there. Obviously, we don't want to be one of them.
Yeah, Boreham Wood or Peterborough would be great. Although saying Everton, I think anyone will fancy playing Everton at the moment, to be honest. Hesketh, of course, this fixture will mean that we play against Ian Wright's grandson. You obviously saw Ian Wright play live for Palace.
I did. I can't believe I'm at the point now where not only am I like, oh, I used to watch his dad play, but now I used to watch his granddad play. Like, if I wasn't feeling insecure enough about turning 40, that will certainly push me over the edge.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? And I mean, we were just talking the other day about, on this pod, Hayden Mullins getting sacked and like seeing players that we saw them come through the youth team retire and then become managers. But this is the next level of taking the biscuit. I
thought it was quite funny that Stoke were like, oh, what a shit draw. I'm like, you get to go out of Stoke for a day. So you're welcome. Pipe down.
Well, I mean, Hartlepool reacted like that early doors, and tunes changed very quickly based on everything, all of the feel good that happened around that. And obviously, fantastic. All the money that was raised has now reached over 80k, which is just absolutely brilliant from Palace fans. Albert, will you be coming to Stoke on the Tuesday night?
No, the midweek ones, just I'm scuppered. I'm scuppered for the midweek games. I was livid because I was upset to miss out on tickets for Hartlepool due to my own, lax sort of ways of keeping up to speed with these things.
Silly you thinking that Hartlepool at home wouldn't sell out.
No, do you know what it was? I just completely forgot. The cup. It's been so long since we've been on a cup run. I forgot that you had to buy tickets. I just assumed that season ticket. I completely forgot that you actually had to do something to go.
I thought it was like back in the day when it was one of the paper tickets in the back of the book that would get you into the cup games.
So the Tuesday night thing's just not an option for me, unfortunately. So I'll have to just go to the next round away at Boreham Wood, please.
Well, I mean, we're all coming to stay at yours if that happens, I think.
You'd be more than welcome to stay at mine.
Have you been to Boreham Wood's ground?
I went to. I've been a couple of times, but the first time I went was we what year was it? We played there in a pre-season friendly.
Yeah, we did.
Must have been about 5 years ago? Maybe longer. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember why I didn't go to that one, but there was a reason. Maybe I was away on holiday.
I remember paying 20 quid for it.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, is this a bit like Bournemouth? It's like plucky Boreham Wood. They've actually got shitloads of money. I've got a former Palace Academy graduate, haven't they? They've got James Cumley.
I need to. I don't know if I'm imagining this. I'm sure it was one of the first times Guaita played for Palace. Maybe I've got that wrong. Anyway,
so it was in 2018.
Yeah, I think it was summer 2018.
Yeah, July 31st, 2018. And there are still 5 minutes worth of highlights on the Palace website if you care to go and...
Really? Blimey, crumb.
Yeah. What was the score?
But no,
I can tell you because I found it on Boreham Wood's website. Palace won 1-0. Johnny Esther scored in the 69th minute. Nice.
Fuck off. In 2018, like I would have never guessed that scorer.
Do you want the team?
Yes.
So the Palace team was Guaita, Ward, O'Dwyer, Woods, Papsuare, Punch and Kirby, Johnny Esther, Lakilo, Kai and Wickham.
Wow.
And the subs were Brown, McGregor, Lumeka, Rob Street, and James Daly. Wait, James Daly, not FYP, is Jim Daly.
Sorry. That was bloody hell. We were really scraping the bottom of the barrel for that game.
20 quid?
No, that's for the FYP live show, I think it was. No. I don't know if that was 20 quid or not. Cupid works hard in February, but our friends at Manscaped are working harder than ever to ensure your Valentine's Day is one to remember. Don't turn this day of romance into Independence Day this year and get in control with their Performance Package 4.0, which includes their signature lawnmower 4.0. This February, join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. We have an exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use the code BOTN for 20% off and free shipping. Contrary to popular belief, love is not blind when you can't see past the love jungle. Manscaped.com, BOTN at checkout, free shipping and 20% off. Right, we got to talk about Norwich, so we should probably get into talking about Norwich. 40 seconds, Hesketh.
Yeah.
You were there, right? How did that feel?
Yeah, not great.
Just getting comfortable.
Had quite a good time up until that point.
It had a lovely pie, home baked by Delia.
Very nice. We went to... See, I'm the wrong person to talk about this because I was with Cara and Chris Clark from the Match Report parish. I think that's what we say, isn't it? And we went to some pub where Chris had some kind of beer.
How many?
A couple maybe in the pub. One was a plum porter. That's right, isn't it? Plum porter.
Yeah, you get a plum porter, I think. Yeah.
I had a pint of I had a pint of hell. Whatever lager it is that isn't on the chalkboard is what I ordered.
Is that how you ordered it?
Yeah, nothing.
I don't want any of that fucking chalkboard you prick.
Yeah, don't give me that shit.
Give me the gassy, tasteless stuff. That's what I want.
Plum porter.
Yeah, the plum porter looked like Guinness without a head. It was just like a...
I was going to say, is that a pint of Guinness that someone's dipped their nuts in?
You'd have to ask Chris.
What's that on Untapped?
So
keep going.
We had quite a good day. Got to the ground. We were all sort of looking forward to it. I mean, I'm never looking forward to Palace, obviously. But yeah, got into the seats, and no sooner had they kicked off, but Joel Ward got done about 3 times in the first sort of 10 seconds, and they'd scored. And
their only shot on target in the game.
Yeah, and we were sort of right on the side, so we were nearer their fans, which is always a bit galling when you've got Norwich fans calling you names. But yeah, I mean, the first 10 minutes or so, they just we'll talk about it, I'm sure, but they obviously their tactic was get it near Joel Ward because he is not playing very well. And so the first 10 minutes were quite rough viewing, to be honest, because they just kept getting it to their winger, and I just assumed they were going to score. And if it wasn't for Tarek Mitchell, they probably would have scored a couple of more, to be honest.
Yeah, it was such a strange first half. You're right. There was definitely that targeting of Joel Ward. It was a long diagonal win behind him all the time. To whoever the bloke was out there, he was a bit nippy. And he had Joel Ward all sorts of trouble. But then, Tyrick, particularly the last-ditch slide tackle, but also the header at the back post.
That header was unbelievable. When the ball came over, it looked like it was going in all day long. And him getting a header on that was unbelievable. Yeah.
And it was, but short of those 3 chances really early doors, Albert, we kind of just... it was a bit like school bullies not having little kids have the ball at all. Particularly when we got into the second half, 82% possession in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, when that stat came up, I had to fucking clean my glasses and check I'd read it right.
I thought I was on. I thought I was on BT Sport watching La Liga, and it was actually Barcelona. I got a bit confused.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I missed the first goal. I tuned in about 4 minutes in once the kids were in bed. It was like, oh fucking hell, we're 1-0 down. But again, not having seen the goal and almost being half naive to it. It took us a little while to get into the game, but again, we ramped it up quite swiftly after that, and it just seemed to be. I mean, the second half was way, like you say, 82% possession. It was way more sort of intense from us, and yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about the other incidents in the game, but it was again, it's another one that you think we really should have come away with the 3 points there. We definitely grew into the game a bit more, and even Joel Ward improved vastly in the second half. But yeah, it's frustrating, and like I said, their only shot on goal. If we were a bit tighter in the first 5 minutes, then it could have been a hugely different game.
Yes, indeed. Couple of chances. Zaha drags a couple of shots just past the near post. Really trying to get Elise one-on-one. He did some good work down there. Hate to say, a bit hampered by Joel Ward not overlapping him. Took him time to build up some confidence in that game a bit, but getting to half time, and once again, it looks like Vieira's got a half time team talk correct, Hesketh, as we come out storming, and we nearly could have potentially scored in under 40 seconds ourselves in the second half, really come flying out the blocks.
Yeah, it was a bit like the Millwall game where everything's a bit sort of stuttery in the first half, even though we grew into the first half and looked better than them by the end. But yeah, straight from kick-off in the second half, we were just all over them. Almost scored, like you said, almost scored instantly, and then just didn't let up at all. And just sort of whatever Vieira says at half-time, just say that before the game, mate, and we'll start smashing teams,
Well, I'm guessing he's tactically astute, right? He's picking stuff up in game, and he's making the slight tweaks here and there at half-time is what you got to assume it is. Either that, or he's just got the old school Neil Warnock style, like, exactly that sort of. He can really hype people up and get them going, but he's definitely doing something.
There are things that we were saying during the first half. We were like, "Why isn't this player doing that, or why isn't he doing this?" That they started doing in the second half. Like, there was a few times in the first half where Schlupp got the ball in midfield and just didn't go forward with it. Like, he had space in front of him, didn't push forward with the ball, which we've talked about on here is something he's really good at. And then in the second half, he started to do it a bit more. He broke into the box really well fairly early on. And we just need people to start the game like that rather than the second half, because I think once we got going, when we were on tops, but certainly in the second half, there was just no let up. Like, every time they got the ball anywhere near our half, Anderson and especially Gay, who I thought was absolutely unbelievable last night, just mopped it up without like any trouble whatsoever. We were completely in control, and I think, we'll obviously talk about the penalty, but had Will scored that, it would be fine. We'd be like, well, we battered them and we've won. It would have been nice to beat them by more, but deserved. As it is, unfortunately, it's another we've got a draw, but we should have won. Which seems to be a bit of a running theme this season.
Yeah, particularly away from home, our only away win remains Man City in the Premier League. Albert, then comes the equaliser. Michael Elise switches the ball out, which gives him his fourth assist in the Premier League this season. Since the turn of the year in all competitions, 7 direct goal assists, assist ain't the right word, is it? Goal involvement contributions, which is the most of any Premier League player. So he's leading the way. Might have something to do with Salah being at AFCON, but we'll overlook that fact. But Zaha cuts inside, and it's an incredible finish.
Yeah, no disrespect to Elise, but it almost feels harsh on Zaha to give someone an assist for that goal because he's proper carved that chance out. And yeah, what a finish! I thought Zaha was a bit rusty first half. Like I say, pulled a few shots wide. Like his touch, he had a really heavy touch at times.
Yeah, it's bouncing off of him, wasn't it? It was like a pinball machine. Yeah.
Yeah, and you sort of think, oh no, Wilf comes in for too much flack anyway, and you think, well, now he's definitely going to be under the spotlight. So for him to sort of turn it on second half, and I mean, yeah, what a goal! It's one of those that you see it 10 times and you're not bored of it. It's such a sweet hit. And that's why he's in the team. He can have the worst first half of his career. I'm not saying it was. I'm saying hypothetically, he can have the worst half of his career, but you still know that he's got that in his locker. And there's not many Palace players who can do that. So that's why he's there, and that's why we've missed him.
Hesketh, did it remind you of any other Wilfried Zaha goals from the past?
God.
I mean, it's identical. It's a carbon copy to one.
He scored one at Huddersfield, didn't he, like that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, minus the ridiculous dribble from the halfway line.
Yeah,
yeah.
it was such a good goal. The thing, like the perfect timing at the game. There was a few sort of mumbles around me about him in the first half, which he didn't have a good first half. But as everyone knows, I'll defend Wilf till the bitter death. But he got the ball when Elise pinged it. He brought the ball down, and then someone behind me, I don't know who it was like, right, now fucking do something with it this time. And then he curled it in, and I turned around and I was like, who said that? Who said it? Because where we were, like, we were sort of, I guess, level with the goal line. So, when you sort of stood at an angle where he hit it, and you're like, it could be going in, it could end up like 30 yards wide, and it just sort of curled in the net, and it was pretty. I mean, it was bedlam in the stands, which was great. But I just thought that timing from the bloke who was giving him abuse about a second before he pings that in the corner was just perfect.
Yeah, but I bet when that ball hit the net, he was turning to his mates going, see, that's what I mean. That's what you should be doing.
He should be doing that every single time. Put it top bins every time. Although when it went in, do you not think that it's like, oh, this is what all the training videos look like that come out the training ground? They always put that in the top corner.
Yeah.
So what is this? We can actually do it in real life. But I
did really like the celebration as well, though. I didn't clock it at the time, but I saw it back on Twitter and the Palace site where he goes straight over to Vieira and gets a big
slap
hug
on the forehead
and a slap on the forehead at the end.
Well, Vieira has, multiple times this season called Wilf out a bit and said, I expect him to be sticking his goal contributions up, and that's now 6 for the season, Albert, which includes being away / suspended for a month of it. 10 is his best Premier League return, so he's got a chance of surpassing that this season.
Yeah, totally.
And what many people say has not been his best season.
Yeah, and it could have been 7 quite easily. Yeah, I'm sure he'll hit double figures. If he stays fit, I'm sure he'll hit double figures.
Yeah, so obviously shortly comes the penalty. Before we talk about the actual taking of it, that overlap, Albert, from Tyreek Mitchell, which I don't even think Aaron's knows he's there to actually foul him, is just very unfortunate. A decent defender, had a really good game, I thought. Wouldn't mind him as a long-term replacement for John Wood, but as for another day, get Dougie Freeman on the case. But that is, I think that's the next stage, right, to our development. We need that overlap from the fullback to really be able to open teams up. Yeah,
completely. And I thought as great as Mitchell was defensively yesterday, the support that he was offering Wilf on the left, there was so many occasions. There was one where Wilf sort of cheeky back heels it to Mitchell, who's flying up the wing. That's, listen, no disrespect to Joel Ward, but that's what we're missing on the other side. That's such an effective weapon. Mitchell really, really knows when to go for it and when to maybe hold back a little bit more. There's a really good understanding between Wilf and Mitchell.
Where you could
And
see
hopefully he'll get
Elise and Waldy Elise was getting really frustrated at Waldy in that game. You could see it on the TV visibly, him screaming at Wald to like point him to where he's supposed to be. I mean, I'm not sure who's a senior player here and the one wearing the captain's armband,
but do you want Joe? Do you want Joel Ward overlapping? Again, no disrespect to him. Like, I mean, there's several occasions last night where Elise's got no choice but to lay the ball back to Joel Ward. You know, a 10-yard pass, and Joel Ward's got time to put a cross in, and the ball going in isn't much good either.
I don't want Ward to get the ball. I want Ward to do the overlap and take one of the defenders with him, so it leaves Elise 1-on-1 instead of leaving him 2-on-1. Or with the option, as you say, of passing it back 10 yards. Ward's just got to make that run. What that run did from Tyreek Mitchell shows that it's taking a defender out, and Wilf doesn't even have to pass it. He does make the perfect pass and ends up getting the foul for the penalty. But on the same note, he didn't have to pass that. The defender's gone, and he's got a clearer shot on goal than he would have had otherwise. So it's all about taking the man out. And Ward just seems far less willing to get forward as Mitchell does, for whatever reason that is. I don't know. I would never question Joel Ward's engine. Maybe his pace a little bit, but he's always seemed to be quite fit and being able to run at full capacity for a full 90 minutes. But yeah, I mean, the sad news is now Ferguson looks like he's out for another 6 to 8 weeks with a hamstring injury. So
months.
I mean, yeah, I saw a great tweet with someone Scooby-Doo style, like holding Ferguson and then like ripping his mask off, and it was Conor Wickham underneath, which was very amusing. But I don't mean to laugh. I feel very sad. You know, obviously, still many years ahead of him, and hopefully he can be the right back that we thought we signed. But
hopefully it won't get to the point where you and I will be wearing commemorative T-shirts of "I was there when he come on against Tottenham."
I miss my T-shirt press. I wish I still had that. But there you go. Okay, we have to talk about the penalty miss. Article in the Telegraph today giving 5 reasons why it's the worst penalty of all time. What he did wrong, step by step. Hesketh, this article could have simply been he slipped. The end.
Yeah, I mean it's a joke. It's a joke. I'm sort of torn between going off on a big rant and like saying, well, it's stupid. I don't want to give it the time. But you know, like I think you have people who are like, oh, why has Wolf got a chip on his shoulder? Well, probably because of stuff like that, where he's slipped. Like he just, like you say, he just slipped. He's not tried to do something clever. He's not done. You know, like when Lookman took a penalty last year and tried to like chip it in, and the goalie just stood there and caught it. Or like you mentioned on Twitter, Pires passing it to Henry and messing it up.
Didn't even get the ball off the penalty spot.
Yeah.
How is it the worst penalty of all time? Someone took a penalty and did not get it off the penalty spot.
And it's just like he just slipped. Like it's not. These things happen. He's not like. Yeah, he wasn't trying to do something clever, and it just like, got egg on his face. And you know how many times have you seen that where someone's got like an easy chance and they scuff it or they fall over, and you don't get an article saying here's 10 reasons why Pookie slipped on the and missed an open goal. What a terrible player. So I think that's what annoys me, because people are like, oh, Wilf's always got such a bad attitude. Well, A, I don't think he has, but B, if he does, I think he's well within his rights to be like, can you just fucking leave me alone?
I mean, when I saw that headline, I assumed it was from like fucking shit football website. You know, look, obviously there's pages and pages and pages of shit online, and
say what you really mean.
This site and that site, and if it was from like fucking, I mean, I can't even think of a website that might like print like that. But when you see it's from like the Telegraph sports section, it's like fucking hell, really? Like, yeah, it's just the disrespect is well out of order.
I mean, the guy who wrote it had some sub-editorial role or like an editor's role at The Guardian at one point in his career as well. Like the guy should know about it.
Even if it's
Brighton
like
fan,
clickbait.
do we know?
Brighton fan? No, he's a Leeds fan. I think he wrote the Damned United or something. Did he write one of those books? Go on, say what you're saying,
Really?
Hesketh. I'll find out.
No, I was
Yeah.
going to say, even if it's like clickbait, let's get people onto the site. Just have some self-respect as a journalist. I don't know this bloke. He might be all right.
Especially when it's behind a paywall. Like,
Well, that was the most disappointing thing about this article is it wasn't behind their paywall, because then I wouldn't have had to fucking read it.
It's just annoying. And like there was a tweet that Sky Sports Twitter put up, which I saw when we were driving home from the game, and Wilf quote tweeted it and then deleted it because I think he's probably just fed up. But it was like, from hero to zero, Zaha scores a good goal and then misses a penalty badly, and he was like, I slipped. Why am I zero just because I slipped? And it's just a thing. It's like you have to sensationalize everything. And I had a couple of mates to give me shit on like Twitter and Instagram and that, being, oh, Will's penalty was terrible. I was like, yeah, did you see that fucking worldie that he scored 2 minutes before though? Shut up.
Yeah. So just while we're on it, he wrote The Unforgiven, the story of Don Revie. And he wrote a biography of Leeds United as well. So he's got some sort of pedigree that he shouldn't be sensationalizing things like that. I mean, how can he look himself in the mirror after spending all his time writing books about his beloved Leeds United, only to turn into, I've got to write this for a pretty penny. Albert, is it even the worst Palace penalty you've ever seen, let alone the worst penalty of all time? I mean, Jason punching at Spurs springs to mind.
Yeah, that absolutely springs to mind.
I mean, the classic is Isaac Zohar from Boxing Day in 1997 is the one that people of our generation remember.
I think it's, are you talking about a worst in terms of technique or worst in terms of what it would have meant? I mean, I can still hear the thud of the post from Ashton Gate when Ben Watson absolutely fucking thumped that post in the playoff game against Bristol. Of course, there's worse penalties.
Yeah, I mean, I think was it 92, 93? I think we missed 5 or 6 penalties that season, and if just one of them goes in, we don't get relegated that season. We've got Hennessy in the League Cup against Bournemouth.
That was the one that I texted. That was the one I texted you about earlier. I was like, Hennessy, man. Hennessy's my choice.
I'll tell you another one. Was it Freddie Sears against Scunthorpe?
Yeah, that was on my list.
4-0
down. They have a fight. They have a fight over who's taking the penalty at 4-0 down. He still gets it. And then obviously Benteke against Bournemouth at home.
Yeah.
Where he promptly after stopped doing that stupid run up, which is another thing that pissed me off about that article, was that one of the main points was this stuttering run up should have been left behind with Zaza when he missed the penalty for Italy. It was like, he's 7 from 7 in penalties with and that stuttering run up.
That Zaza stuttering run up as well took about fucking 10 minutes. Like, Will took like 3 steps.
I love those though, all those videos when it just people would like edit it so he just carried on running, where he just carried running past the ball all the way up to the goal line. It's so good. So yes, obviously sad that we didn't do it. We've said about Patrick Vieira having good halftime talks, but on the flip side, bad substitutions many times this season. Mm-hmm. We talked about it, I think, post Brighton. And this time it was making the subs that seemed to be the mistake. We were massively in the ascendancy. We were picking them apart. We had a really good rhythm to our play, pinging the passes all over the place. They were dropping deeper and deeper, didn't know how to deal with us. Takes Elise off and brings on Ayew. And it just, from that point on, and the couple of subs that followed, momentum just disappeared.
Yeah. I didn't understand him taking Elise off, because Elise had that left back on toast. He was all over him. And I actually think taking off Mateta was a big mistake as well, because I don't know, obviously, how much you could see on TV, but like, he was second half for sure. He was making so many good runs, like in behind, down the channels, and they really their defence just couldn't really pick him up. And when we took him off, for a little while afterwards, we were still playing the balls, but Edouard wasn't making those runs. And listen, I like Edouard, but like you say, it was like, I don't know why.
It was within a second, mate. Within a second of Edouard coming on, they played the ball in behind for the run that Mateta was making every time, and Edouard had come short. And it was from that moment there, like all the rhythm was broken up because the midfielders then didn't know if he was going to spin off and go or come short, and everything was slowed down as a result. And I'm glad it's good that in the stadium it was like that, because on the TV it came across like he was having a really good game, and that was without seeing all the runs all the time that he was making. Seemed like for me it was his best game for us. I
thought he was excellent, and we've talked about in the past couple of shows where we said that the longer the run he gets in the team, the better he looks. And I thought Mateta was a real handful last night, and like you said, I just don't know why we needed to, the players, I appreciate we've got a game on Saturday, but the players didn't look knackered. It didn't seem to me like, he's having a good game, but he's obviously out of puff. It was just, it was weird, and it just didn't work. It, like you say, it just sort of stopped our real momentum. We were still better than them, but we weren't quite as incisive as we had been before the subs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that just gets into man of the match then. We won't talk about who BT Sport Clive Allen gave man of the match to. Giving
who
it to
did they give it to?
They gave it to
not a Norwich player.
They gave it to a Norwich player. Rashiki? Is that his name?
I don't even know who that is.
Well,
a Norwich player shouldn't be winning it. You'd
be forgiven to missing him, other than that he was kind of generous to Palace because his pass accuracy for the game was only 43%. So I think he touched the ball about 8 times. It just is just a ridiculous decision.
He wasn't their winger, was he? So Clive Allen was like, he had a good 5 minutes. Fuck.
He literally had a good 5 minutes and then gave him man the match. Where, I mean, I don't know. Who was it for you, Albert?
I think for me, it's probably a toss-up between Mitchell and Gahey. Yeah,
I know. Oh, yeah, and I think you've got John Philippe Mateta as a third place in that. Which one you're plumping for?
I'm going to go Mitchell.
Albert? Sorry, Skip.
No, Mitchell.
Yeah, I would say it's out of those two, and like you say, Mateta just behind. I'd give it to Gay just because he didn't give him a look in, and he's so good at bringing the ball forward and starting things off. He's class. I thought he was excellent.
It was excellent. I mean, in the air, he won everything. When the ball was on the floor and he was having to defend, he just was all over them, bringing the ball out, passing. Everything about his game is just. I mean, he's got to be.
He could play centre mid. He's that good.
Yeah, I bet he's just the way England want to play, and the way Harry Maguire's form has fallen off a massive, cliff the size of his forehead. It's he's a wild card for the World Cup for me, for England, when it comes around next winter. It'd be ridiculous not to take him, and we're going to do well to keep him past the end of next season, particularly if he goes to the World Cup with England as well. And the worry is with Elise as well. We've got to hope that in the next year and a half we do make it to Europe, because we're going to need something to keep these players, because they are genuinely, but the two of them got the potential to go on to be considered as world-class players. I don't think there's any doubt about it on either case. And very exciting. Great recruitment over the summer, and the rebuild just looking good and good. But anyway, disappointed with the draw. Obviously, the performance just got better and better as it went on. Just a moment of madness within 40 seconds cost us what would have been another good 3 points, and it now takes into Brentford. And Albert, does it make Brentford a bit of a must win? Probably, I don't want to say it is a must win, but it's kind of like we certainly don't want to lose. And with teams starting to pick up behind us. Newcastle starting to get some results. Norwich themselves are no pushovers anymore. We don't want to start having to look over our shoulders.
I don't know if it's a must-win game. Obviously, it's. I don't want to lose it, and I always think a point away from home isn't anything necessarily to be sniffed at. Obviously, our only away win is at Man City. Not many teams can say that this season. But yeah, we do need to sort of. I think it's a must-win in the aspect that we do need to be able to sort of say we've done more away from home in terms of wins. I think we sort of didn't give a good enough account of ourselves against them at home, albeit it was early in the season and they were a bit more in the momentum than we were. We were still a relatively fresh proposition back then with all the signings that we made of the new manager. So I'll certainly be disappointed if we come away with nothing. Of course I want to see us go there and put in a performance. I think I was a little bit. Upset's the wrong word. I was a bit surprised by the lineup yesterday. Mateta had a good game. I'm not going to sit here and deny that, but it's a bit surprising to see Benteke and Edouard start on the bench, and you sort of throw that in with Schlupp in the midfield, which I still don't think is working particularly well. I think they're two positions that I'd expect to see some adjustments there over for the next game. And I don't know if Elise started too many games in recent weeks. Ayu's back as well, so I don't know. I think there'll be a bit of a personnel change.
I got a question on that for both of you. Reece Schlupp, would you start MacArthur on Saturday? And the reason I ask is yesterday, all the subs went back into the change room except for Jimmy, who was just warming up for ages on his own. So we were like, oh, mate, maybe he's coming on. He obviously didn't. But if he's fit enough to be on the bench, would you say he's fit enough to start?
Look, I like Jeff Schlupp, but I don't like him as a part of that two in midfield. Where he's kind of like more alongside Hughes with Gallagher in that more advanced role, as we've seen him. When he gets on the ball and he's driving from that position, I like it. But when we're in the early stages of the build-up or we're off the ball, I'm not sure he knows where he's meant to be. He always looks a little bit lost at sea in there, and it costs us and it slows us down at times. And it's, the centre backs are not having as many options as perhaps they should when they're picking up the ball and they're looking for the passes between the lines and so on. But I can see why he would be there as an option, because, as I say, he looks incredibly dangerous when he picks up the ball in the centre of the field and he starts running at them. They back off, and there was quite a few examples of that against Norwich. But James MacArthur has been a master in that position for years for us now, and we all know what he can do. And he can, he does all the work off the ball, but he's got quality when he's on it as well, when he can unlock teams and he can, press well and win the ball back and start off attacks. He's just someone who's played at centre midfield his entire career. That's the main difference. Jeff Schlupp, left back, left winger, played up front, playing in midfield, and he's a great tool to have in the squad for moments like this when players are out and we need to fill it in. But yeah, if MacArthur's fit and available, then MacArthur would be my first choice in that position. And I don't think I'd say absolutely not a slight at Jeff Schlupp. I like Jeff Schlupp, but yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like Schlupp is a good player to bring on as a sub and say, let's get a bit of impetus, get the ball and go at the tired defence. That's it's a really good weapon to have. And I was talking to Vanessa yesterday about the midfield, and I was like, this season you would say our best three midfield as a unit is Cech, Gallagher and MacArthur. And yesterday, only one of those three were playing. I think Hughes has been good. I really like him. I think he's been very good since he's come in. But like you say, Schlupp is... He's not. That's not his natural role. It's not his natural position. And I think, if MacArthur's fit, I'd start him because him and Gallagher together are just quality.
Yeah, and I think the better the players you put around Gallagher, the better Gallagher gets as well. So absolutely. But Hesketh, you're seeming way too relaxed here about this. Brentford 6 straight defeats in all competitions. Only 1 win in their last 8 Premier League games. I think they've lost 6 of their last 7. Conceded the first goal in 16 of their last 17 matches.
Well, hopefully we don't let them score after 30 seconds. That would be a good start. I don't mean to sound relaxed. I mean, probably because I'm convinced myself already that we're going to lose. So I've just come to terms with it on the 3.5 hour drive back from Norwich. Maybe that's what it is.
3.5 hours? That's how long it took? Jeez. I always feel like it's a bit closer than that, but it's not, is it?
I do. To be fair, Cara, who very kindly drove, said, "Oh, it feels like a long drive." And there's me just sat in the back, dozing, just like...
Yeah, not when you're asleep.
It seems fine. I don't know what you're talking about. I wake up and we're in Elephant and Castle. Well, we're at Elephant and Castle already. What are you talking about?
So you were in the back this time. You didn't go call shotgun and leave Vanessa in the back.
Rotate. You've got to rotate, haven't you, Albert? You don't want to take the piss.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Was it just the 3 of you in the car?
Yes. It wasn't just me and her. She wasn't like an Uber where I was just sat in the back saying, "Drive me home."
Did you lay down across the back seats?
I did not.
Is that acceptable?
I haven't tested the theory. Maybe next time I'll do it.
just do it. Just turn up with a pillow and a blanket.
Albert doesn't look too happy about that, so I feel like it's not acceptable.
It's all right. You're not getting in my car to go to an away game anytime soon.
That would involve you going to a game, Albert, so I'm definitely not.
Oh. So the only other question I've got before we wrap this up is Joel Ward. Is it time for a rest, Albert? Klein is obviously fit now and ready and raring to go. He's on the bench. He's been getting off the bench a little bit. Is it time to give Klein a go at right back?
Well, I expected to see Klein in the cup game, to be honest, because Joel Ward's played almost every fucking minute. So whilst I would happily see Klein come in for a game, I think Paddy V is just going to stay with the consistency, and I think we'll still see Joel Ward myself.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Hesketh, would you, if you were big Super Pat Vieira, as the fans are singing now, would you give Klein a go in there? Do you think Wardy might need a bit of a rest considering all the minutes he's played?
If it was me, I probably would. And yeah, obviously I'm a massive Joel Ward fan, but his form in the last few games has been a bit iffy. And if he was looking a bit slow and puffy yesterday, a third game in the space of a week probably ain't going to help. But I agree with Albert. I think the likelihood is that Vieira keeps it as is. So just have to hope he has a better game.
Okay. Predictions. Albert, is it going to be 7 defeats in a row for the Bees?
The Bees. Yeah. My head's saying a draw. But I know that's what Hesketh's probably going to go for. So I'll go for a 2-1 win, Palace.
Yeah, I am going to go for a draw. I'll say 1-0.
Yeah, see, I knew it.
I'll say 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, they've got Christian Eriksen won't be. They don't think it's going to be time for him. Tony might be back from injury. Their first choice keeper from the beginning of the season's back, but even he had a bit of a shocker against City as well. So I don't know. They're still in a bit of a mess, but they have got some players coming back. It'd be interesting to see what happens. I'm hoping they're a team that they play their one way. They're super on the front foot and they really want to get at you, and it's going to be uncompromising as always. And I think they'll leave spaces in behind, which will make it a bit easier for us to score than perhaps Norwich made it by just sitting deeper and deeper and protecting the goal with basically all of their players. So I think we're going to win 2-0. I've got some confidence going into this one. And it's a new ground for basically all of us, unless you've been to see Brentford this season for whatever reasons, new ground. We don't get those often, do we, Hesketh, in terms of watching Palace, being that we'd never go out the top 2 divisions.
Yeah, well, that's it. And it's nice that it's a new ground that's also in London. So it's not going to be like too much of a pain in the arse to get home.
Well,
I say that. What I am quite looking forward to, though, is Nick from the Match Report is getting the boat to the game and is a little worried that he won't be able to stand by the time he's off the boat, more because of the alcohol than the sea legs. So it'd be good to see what state he's in if we see him.
Well, it's going to be his birthday, isn't it? So happy birthday to Nick.
Sorry, can we just rewind a little bit? Because Hesketh's talking about pain in the arse of getting back from away games after he's just said that he just sat spread out in the back of a car for 3 hours just fucking chilling and dozing. Where's the pain in the arse there?
Those into the sweet aromas of plum porter coming off of Chris Clark's breath.
And just coming around just coming round every so often. Left ear.
Right. Anyway, thanks to everyone for listening. We'll be back next week when we'll be building us up to Chelsea. Football everywhere, all of the time. Yes. So we'll be back. We'll be recording Wednesday next week, so back to normal time. So it should be in your ears on Thursday morning for your commute. Oh, Albert's like putting some sort of emoji face there.
I am also going to put an emoji face. I think it might have to be Thursday.
Oh,
this is a live calendar movement. It might not be Thursday because Albert's making another face. You'll get it when you bloody get it.
Yeah, please don't
Who
send us
a week off?
Angry messages on Twitter. No weeks off. But yes, we'll be back next week at some point. And before I sign off, you're gonna have the dulcet tones of Chris Clark seeing you out of this podcast. So until next week, up the Palace.
Hello, everyone. This is Councillor Chris Clark, the Thirsty Councillor, recording a live review of the Titanic Plum Porter. And I'm drinking it as we speak. In fact, I'm going to have a sip during this review. Lovely mouthfeel. And so here we are, live from the George in central Croydon, the best ward in Croydon, Fairfield. And I'm pleased to say that they have the Titanic Plum Porter on at the moment. I discovered this beer for the first time on an away trip to Stoke. As you can hear, there are some people who are also enjoying Plum Porter by the sound of it around me. So on this trip to Stoke, my mate Fireman Ian, who's got the odd mention on the pod of late, had heard online about the Plum Porter, but hadn't had it. He doesn't even like porters particularly, and I don't like Guinnessy drinks generally. Your kind of darker, portery, stouty drinks. No, not for me. But he said, I'm gonna order a half of this and we'll sample it, shall we? And so I reluctantly agreed, and I tried it, and fuck me, it's lovely. It's like Guinness, but with port in it. It's got that kind of fruity edge. It's fantastic. And there's a pub in Stoke called the White Star Line. We walked in there. We'd been told that you weren't allowed to wear away colours, but actually they let us in. They were very welcoming, and it's absolutely fantastic stuff. When I've done Stoke away every time since I discovered that, I think the first time I went was that time when Chungi scored the last-minute goal just before Christmas. Absolutely fantastic. It's a great beer. I get these delivered in cases to my flat, and I strongly recommend it. I really hope they're going to give us a discount for this product placement on the pod. I suspect they're not. But yeah, it's a Titanic brewery. The beer is Plum Porter, and it's absolutely amazing. And I had managed to have some at Norwich away. We went to a great pub called the Fat Cat and Canary near the ground, and So that was me, Cara, and Eskif, and they let you take real glasses outside on match day, as Cara has just pointed out to me. So yeah, you know you're not in South London then. So there you go. That's the review of the pod. Sorry, of the Titanic Pump Porter. Sorry, that's a bit long, but that's the Thirsty Council away. Peace out.
Wow. That's an insight there into what Labour councillor meetings might be like.
No.